Hey everyone, welcome to BattleRisk Gaming. Today I wanted to cover some updates that are going to be dropped tomorrow, October 30th, 2024 on the Korean servers. Seems like they're getting updates first, and then we're going to have them drop later for the world servers. So I will post a link to this update guide in the description of this video so you guys can check it out for yourselves. I highly recommend it. I'm not going to cover everything here, so just take a look at what's coming down the pipeline. But one cool thing is we're going to have a PvP island, and on this PvP island, you're going to be able to get different pieces of gear, rings and necklaces, bracelets, waistbands. They're going to help your gear setup, and they're really going to help your stats overall, but it can help you change with different pieces than maybe what you've been using currently. So go ahead and read through that, see if there's anything that's really stands out to you, and post in the comment below the item name of what you're looking forward to potentially getting, especially if you're a PvP player. But what I really wanted to talk about was these two things. First one is this artifact growth system. This is going to be, looks like it's going to be added. Hopefully we get this soon because it looks really promising. So it says you can obtain artifact items from Nebula Island, so that's that PvP island, and Abyss Dungeon in the Toland region. You can combine 6 parts and grades, each with its own unique stats and effects, and equip them in slots. You can use new skills by equipping Solarstone and a Lunastone, and you can obtain new artifacts through material conversion. So what it looks like is each of the sets is going to have a Solarstone and Lunastone associated with it, as well as 4 what they're calling Taliston or Taliston. You'll have 4 of those, and as you stack these up, you get bonuses based on what you have equipped here. So it's kind of like another set bonus. Here's how it breaks down. You have 1 to 4 Talistones, a Solarstone, and so 1 Solarstone and 1 Lunastone, and they each have their own unique concept. So Talistones have unique stats, Solar Stones and Lunastones have stats and unique effects. And then artifacts will have different grades. So as of October 30th, there are a total of 14 sets, 2 common, 4 advanced, and 4 rare. Some stats of artifacts determined by a set probability when acquired. You can check out the probability information by clicking this link here. So if you want to know the probability of getting certain stats of your artifacts, you click that and it'll tell you the probability. So you can see how hard it is. I'm assuming the better stats are going to be harder to grind for. They're going to have a lower probability number of actually being able to roll it and obtain it. So how you obtain it is you obtain it from the island, the Nebula Island that's coming, or the Abyss Dungeon. And unnecessary artifacts will be changed into new artifacts through material conversion. So that looks like it's very similar to upgrading your materials anywhere else at the weapon vendors, the armor vendors, those people, and as well as upgrading, you know, from green to blue to purple, similar, but not exactly the same. And they can be obtained according to a set probability. So if you really want to see that probability, go ahead and again, click this link right here. I will also post this link in the description. Okay, so set effect. So you've got when you equip 2, so here's 2 set items, 4 or 6 artifact parts of the same concept, so that's key. The set effect is activated. So you can't pair one of these and one of these and expect to get either one of these. You have to pair 2 of these and 2 of these. Now, just remember, there's only 6 slots total. So you can only have up to 6, it looks like, so far. So your stat bonuses will go up to 6. And so you've got, I'll just read through the rares. You guys can read through the rest. But you've got Cursed Eternal, Shield Defense Penetration at a set of 2. You've got additional damage at 12. You got Shield Defense Penetration, another 12% at 6 sets. So you'll have a total of a 20% shield defense penetration and 12 damage. This seems like an overall good DPS addition. Then we got another DPS. It looks like here, Weapon of Chaos Killing. You'll get critical hit 100, critical hit damage up by 9%, and then critical hit 125. So your crit hit chance goes up and your crit hit damage goes up, which is also good for DPS people. We'll have to figure out which ones are going to be best. I'm assuming it's going to fall into crit hit. So unless they change major stats, crit damage, usually in games like Throne and Liberty, crit hit is the most important. Okay, then you got Hand of Hatred, which is hit chance 100, then status effect hit 75, and then an increase attack range by 10%. So this would probably be good for your support builds that are popping out status effects. Bows and arrows do really good with this, and probably staff. Guardian of the Wilderness, evasion up 100, reduces critical hit damage taken by 12%. It looks like, well, it doesn't say taken, so that could be the crit hit damage you're outputting by 12%. But then you also get dodge up by 150. So you're going to get a lot more evasion, but it looks like you might be doing less critical damage. But we'll have to see exactly how that's going to look when we get it. The Depths of Desire, you get patience up 100, status abnormality resistance up by 75, and then skill damage resistance up by 125. So this is good for maybe a tank who wants to make sure they're not getting CC'd. The Army of the Ancient King, maximum health 1500, Emitoy recovery amount 200%, and 100% recovery amount for Spirit Stones. So I'm assuming that's going to go with the World Tree Leaf, since this is all health based. So this, again, health based, it'd be good for another potentially tank build, or if you're just struggling health wise, this can help you. And then the Priest to Abandon God, defense 150, stamina 15, stamina regeneration 5, and defense up 7. Really good for a tank. Stamina is important to help us block and everything. And then you've got Demon of Judgment. You got damage reduction is 12, shield defense chance 6, and shield damage reduction rate 5%. So those are all the rares. Some seem to be, of course, more DPS focused, more support focused, and more tank focused. So read through the rest, and if you want to, you can also comment down below which of these your artifact sets you're looking forward to getting, and if you're planning on mixing and matching 4 of one and 2 of another. Maybe you can, it'd probably be good to be able to increase critical hit and critical hit damage, while as well as getting a maximum health of 1500. Again, if you're struggling with health, you've got that, but you've also got crit hit damage %, and then shield penetration, which could be good for, just getting past shields and doing damage to core health numbers. And yeah, just some of them might be really good for, like, this one might be more PvP focused, shield penetration, and these two might be more PvE focused. But yeah, just let me know which ones you're looking forward to. And then here come the skill effects. So with the Solar Stone, you get a unique used skill, and Luna Stone, you get an active skill. When the corresponding Solar Stone and Luna Stone are equipped in the artifact slot, the granted skill is activated. For unique skills, you can use them by pressing the F5 key, and you can change the shortcut key through the settings. Skills activated by artifacts can also be checked at the bottom of gemstone skills in the skill and then weapon skill. Okay, so we'll cover the rare ones. So it tells you what type of stone it is. Each one has a solar and each one has a Luna. You'll have one of each. I'm assuming everyone's going to start out with common, and you're going to have to grind for the rare. So not only are you going to get set bonuses just by having the items equipped, but you're going to get activity type bonuses. So you'll get used skill or an active skill type bonus. So it sounds like whether you use a skill, when you use a skill, then the Solar Stone will activate. And when you have an active skill, the Luna Stone activates. And so that will help you with survivability, extra damage, and evasion, and all of these things while you're playing. So it's greatly going to help with damage output, heal, and everything else in general. Other than adding this new artifact line, the next major change is going to be adjusted combat balance for each weapon and fixed some skill errors. New specializations have been added to some skill for each weapon, or the values applied to existing specializations have been changed. The main stats of some skills for daggers, crossbows, staffs have been increased. Okay, so let's look at the developer's comment. What are they saying? So they're trying to make sure that they strengthen play that matches the party members, and they want to improve skills with low usability. So people that are not using them very often, while in that same process, making some improvements to the compatibility between weapons and some areas that show excessive synergy. So certain weapons and abilities synergize really well with each other. And so that has driven a lot of people to go away from experimenting with builds and experimenting with different weapon combinations. And instead, they're like, oh, this is the meta. And, meta is always going to be chased to some degree. But that being said, the developers are always going to try to balance it. So we can see potentially what's going to happen for us. So we've got sword and shield and two-handed sword. So sword and shield and greatsword. In group PvP situations, we want to give you the option to try playing with your party a little bit more often. So instead of just being the tank that takes everything, we want you to be able to, it sounds like they want you to be able to play a little bit more actively. So for two-handed swords, they've balanced them by providing some countermeasures for some uncounterable judgments. See exactly what that means later. For dagger, although the performance itself is considered acceptable, some skills with low usability have been improved. Okay, so for your dagger main, if that's your main weapon, you're probably really going to like this. Okay, crossbow. Infiltration of selflessness has so many features woven into it that the intention is to make the skill concept more clear. In the case of the crossbow, it is judged that it is sufficiently performing its role in large-scale battles, and some buffs have been made to enable it to be active in small-scale battles. So I'm trying to see if this is mostly for PvP balancing. I don't quite know if they separate PvE and PvP balancing like they do in some games. It doesn't seem like it to me so far, but I haven't really delved that deep into PvP. So once I do, we'll figure this out, I guess. Now let's go to longbow. We judged that the recovery-related performance of the longbow would have excessive synergy when used with the staff. So if you have that synergy, or if you haven't built it yet, play it while you can, because it sounds like in the not too distant future for worldwide, they're eventually going to change it, starting with the Korean server, again, just to remind you. So some skill cooldowns have been adjusted to be shared, and the performance of unlimited skills has also been adjusted. And then staff. In order to strengthen compatibility with close-range weapons, additional effects have been added to some of the skills. And then the last one, the wand, improves some skills with low usability. That one's pretty generic. So now they get down here into the details of what all of that looks like. Okay, so what it looks like is your longsword and two-handed sword is going to give you a little bit more like damage reduction and things like that, which will help with your survivability, so you're not having to stack sword and shield and wand. You'll be able to play a slightly different style if you want. In general, dagger looks like it's getting major weapon ability increases. In general, dagger looks like it's getting major ability damage increases, as well as specialization increases, and amplification specifically for the blood-sucking strike. The new specialization of area damage gives you, for Frenzy Sword Dance, a 60% increase in base damage to all enemies within 3-meter radius of a rival point. So that just gives you a little bit more AoE, and they're increasing throwing knives. So for people who haven't played dagger as a main or haven't used it a lot, daggers are getting a huge buff. So here with crossbow, it looks like they're doing a bit of a PvP buff where they are going to remove effects applied to you and stun and sleep effects applied by other players. So this is mostly for PvP. It's going to cost you 7 specialization points, and they are removing the abnormal status removal from infiltration of selflessness, and they're adding mana reduction has been added with remove abnormal status specialization. Longbow. So this is the biggest nerf. Longbow here with healing hands. And when you go down to the wand, rapid healing, are now going to share a cooldown. So the two of those, they want you to pick either or. Currently, you have the ability to toss out the healing hands and then rapid healing, so you can toss out a bunch of heals. They don't want them to synergize like that. I think this is what they were talking about with the overpowered synergy. They want them to be a little bit more fluid, so you don't feel like you're stuck at playing only these two weapons, being a healer. They want you to diversify a bit. Moving into the staff, they are changing things like rapid firecracker. They are changing the waves on your heat wave, chain lightning, ice window, judgment. Some of these were, fixed an issue where frost effect on ice spirit was only applied briefly, and chain lightning currently in the world servers, it still procs crossbow, the nature demonstration effect. And they fixed that. They don't want that to proc the nature demonstration effect on the crossbow. And then the transfer effect for the wave of depth lightning is adjusted to activate once by default and activate once more. So really, the too long didn't read for all of this is the mostly doing bug fixes, and then they're going to be boosting weapon damage and some synergy. So sword and shield and great sword are getting weapon synergy increases, and then your magic wand and your longbow, the synergy is too great, so they're going to create the rapid healing and healing hand skills to share a cooldown. So that's getting a nerf. Sword and shield and great sword are getting a buff. Daggers are getting a huge buff. Crossbows are getting some buffs, and staffs are getting some buffs. So go ahead and take a look at these a little bit deeper and let me know what you guys think. If there's any questions you have or anything you'd like to learn about this game that you just don't have the time to research, go ahead and message it in the comments, and I will do my best to make videos based on that content, because my whole goal is to share things that I love, like this game, and make you all happy and give you what you need and what you want, so that you don't have to spend a bunch of time doing the research and finding the things that maybe you just don't have time for. So if you'd like to know a little bit more about some general gameplay tips and you're new to Throne and Liberty, or even if you're not, these might be something that you haven't thought of before, go ahead and check out the video here at the end screen. That's going to be it for today's video. I will talk to you all later and see you in the next one.